What's up guys, today I'm going to be showing you all how to double overclock your PS4 or PS5 controller. Most videos out there only show you how to overclock it once, but you can actually use DS4 and the overclocking software to overclock your controller more than once. So step one is actually going to be in Windows Security. You're going to need to type in Windows Security into the search bar and open that up. This is for only Windows 11 users, so if you are in Windows 10, you do not need to follow this step, but Windows 11 users do for it to work. You will need to go into device security, go into core isolation off. After you have done this, make sure to reset your computer, go on to the next step. The next step you will need to do is actually download the overclocking software. Most people already have, but if you do not, the link is in the description. You will need to open this up. Click on this third one that says HID USB f.zip. After you do this, you will click the download file on the right. This will go into your files. You will need to open your file explorer and extract it to your desktop. Once you have done that, we can move on to step 3. Step 3, you will just open up that file explorer software, click on driver, and then click on setup. We'll ask you if you want to allow it to make changes to your computer. You click yes. After you open the software, click on devices and click all. You will then need to, I have actually already overclocked my controller, so this process is already done. But you will need to find your PS5 or PS4 controller on here. It's very important you follow the steps, the next 2 steps very carefully, because if you don't, it won't actually work. So first thing you're going to do is select your controller. You are going to click selected rate, and you are going to click on 1000. After you've done that, you will click install service and click run. Once you do that, it should say 1000 here. It will say 5 on the BLM interval, and it will say no on filter. After you've done that, you will click on filter on device. It shouldn't say anything. If it does give you an error message, I will have 2 links in the description, 2 videos that show you how to avoid those errors. But if it just allows you to click on filter on device, you just will do that and click install service again. After that, it will say 1000 here, yes here, and it might say, if it still says 5 on the BLN interval, you're going to want to unplug and replug in your controller, and this should go to 1. This means that your controller is fully overclocked in this software. Next, you will need to actually open up DS4 Windows. I will do right now. If you do not have DS4 Windows already downloaded, there will be a link to download DS4 in the description, so you guys can go do that. Make sure you open the DS4 Windows that has the pink and blue controller. So step 4 is actually going to be editing different settings that will be inputted on your controller. You will click on Profiles, Default, and then we're actually going to be working on this right-hand side. So first, under the LS category, the only changes that you have to make, that I made personally, are dead zone to be 0, max zone 0.6, anti-dead zone to 0, and output curve to linear. Everything else you should be able to keep the same. There isn't much change here. Now on RS there is a little bit more change, just because this is actually the setting that helps your aim be more sticky. So under this one, I have the dead zone set to 0.03. You can adjust this based on your controller's stick drift, but typically 0.03 is what I found to be the best. The max zone you actually want to be 0.99, and the anti-dead zone put to 0. Now this is the biggest change, is the output curve. You will set to enhanced precision. This will help your aim feel more sticky, and give you essentially more aim assist. It's not actually give you more aim assist, but it makes you feel like you have more aim assist. Moving along to L2, R2, this is if you don't play on flipped. If you play on flipped settings on COD, you will not need to do anything here, but if you play on regular, then these are the settings that I have found to work the best. Dead zone 0, for both of them, zone 1 for both of them, and anti-dead zone 0. Have your max output at 1 and sensitivity at 10. I'm pretty sure sensitivity is set to 1 normally, so make sure you guys do change that to 10. This will have the most reactive triggers possible. allowed on DS4 Windows. You want to change the output curve to enhance precision on both of these. Next, we'll move on to light bar. You're actually going to leave everything on here as default, which we actually will be changing the light bar later, but for now, just leave it. For touchpad, you're going to change this to pass through. If you do not, your controller will not work in the game, so make sure you set this to pass through. Now there's only about 2 or 3 more settings that you guys will need to do, and that is in the other category. Make sure your emulated controller is on DualShock 4. I think it defaults to Xbox 360, I don't know why, but make sure that these two are checked, enable touchpad and enable output. If you don't do this, then your game will not recognize DS4 controllers, so make sure those are both enabled. The last thing you'll need to do is to change DS4 BT pull rate to 1000. This will basically be the overclock in DS4, so now it is going to take the overclock from the other program and the overclock from this program and make your controller as responsive as possible. After you've done this, you will click apply and save. Then it will bring you back to this. Then we'll be moving on to step 5, which is making sure that your controller is actually overclocked. So the first thing you're going to need to do is click on this little color bar on the right. Click use custom color and pick any color that is not the default. I say this because the only real way to tell if your DS4 is actually working when you're in a game is if the color is what matches this. Sometimes DS4 will not connect and it will be the default color, the controller. And if it is that, then DS4 is not working. So just change it to a color that is different than the default, and you'll be able to make sure that your controller is overclocked the whole time while you're. After doing this, you're going to go into edit. This is where you get to see if your controller is actually overclocked. You go to controller readings, it will show here input delay at 0.5, 0.45. This is for PS4 controllers, so this is the maximum a PS4 controller can be overclocked is 0.5. If you do have a PS5 controller, this will be 0. It should be 0 ms. Essentially, it just means that you're not going to have any delay at all, but PS4, I guess, is a little bit more, but you won't be able to tell the difference. That is how you overclock your controller fully, or double overclock, whatever you want to call it. There is one more step for Steam users only. So if you're using Steam on Call of Duty on Steam, there's one more setting that you guys do need to change. So first, you're going to go into Steam. You're going to click on the Steam logo in the top left, and go into Settings. After you're in Settings, go to Controller, and make sure that all of your controller settings are the same as what I have on my screen. If you do not, then your DS4 will not work in Call of Duty, and you will not have an overclock controller. So make sure all these settings are the same as mine. I think there's only a few that you actually need to change are right in this area, so make sure you do that. After that is done, you can open Call of Duty, and it should be overclocked. You should be able to feel a massive difference in your accuracy and your movement and everything, because your controller is going to be responding at the exact moment that you input the button on your controller. Hopefully this helped. If you guys do have any questions, as I said, or problems, let me know in the comments. I will put all the links to all the websites in the comments, as well as the 2 errors that I know are common with the overclocking software. But as I said, just let me know in the comments if you guys have any questions, and I will respond to them as fast as I can. Thank you all for watching.